Alright, hey Algebra 2, round 2. So this is going to be solving by taking square roots. So what you want to do is have your numbers on one side and then your x term or other variable on the other. So for number 5 right here, what you're going to do is you're going to add that 5 to the other side because we're wanting to get that m squared by itself. So we're going to add 5 to both sides, and that's going to give me 6m squared equals 438. Now again, our goal is to get m by itself. So it's attached to the 6. So we're going to do the opposite of multiplying. We're going to divide. I'm going to divide over here too. So that's going to give me m squared equals, I'm going to go into my calculator because the girl doesn't know what 438 divided by 6 is off the top of her head. That's 73. Alright, cool. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take the square root of both sides. So square root, m equals positive and negative square root of 73. Now, if we could simplify the square root of 73, we would, but we're going to leave it like this. Please don't leave this as a decimal. Like, your answer choices are going to be in the square root form. Now, this does indicate that there are two possible answer choices, which means that it's a positive square root of 73 and a negative square root of 73. So just keep that in mind. So I want you to try number 6 on your own, and then we're going to talk about it in just 1 second. Alright, so on number 6, we want to get our numbers on one side and our x's on the other. So on number 6, we're going to add that negative 7 to the other side. Okay, so we're going to add 7 to both sides. And that's going to give me negative 8x squared equals, and I know we struggle with this a lot. So if we have a negative 719 plus 7, I'm going to type this into my calculator and show you exactly how I type it. Negative 719 plus 7. Notice how I use this negative down here instead of this subtraction sign. That's going to give me negative 712. Now we're going to divide by negative 8 on both sides. So I'm going back into my calculator. I'm going to divide by negative 8 on both sides. And that's going to give us x squared equals 89. I'm going to take the square root. And x is going to equal positive and negative square root of 89. Now, one thing you need to check is to make sure that you can't take the square root of that number, okay? And you also want to make sure that there's no like factors that you can break it down or any perfect squares that are inside of this. If you need to go back to simplifying radicals, if you're like, I have no idea what this woman is talking about, look at the video called Simplifying Radicals, and that'll help you a little bit on this topic. Okay, so we're going to try 7. So try 7 really quick, and then pause the video, and then check your work. Alright, so on number 7, we don't have to do a whole lot of like finessing on this, which is pretty nice. So we're going to divide by 4 on both sides. And so that's going to give us 81 divided by 4. Now, if we take the square root of both sides, I'm going to show you a really easy trick to make this super, super easy. If you take the square root of 81, that's going to give you 9. And if you take the square root of 4, that's going to give you 2. So this is going to give you positive and negative 9/2. If you're like, I have no idea what she just did, you're going to go into your calculator and you can type square root of 81 divided by 4, close parentheses, and that's 4.5, which is the same thing as 9/2. If you're like, I didn't know that that was 9/2, you can hit math, hit enter again, and then that pulls up the fraction. So if you're ever like, I don't know how to convert a decimal into a fraction, the calculator actually does it for you. So just keep that in mind. Reminder that on here, this is actually 2 answers. This is 9/2 and negative 9/2. So make sure that you keep that in mind. Go ahead and pause the video and try number 8. Alright, so on number 8, what you're going to do is you're going to divide both sides by that 9, because remember, our goal is to get our variable by itself and then numbers on the other side. So we've got b squared equals 225 divided by 9. Y'all know how I like fractions, so we're going to keep it as a fraction. And then we're going to take the square root of both sides. So what's going to make this super easy is that both of those are perfect squares. So notice how the numerator is a perfect square and the denominator is a perfect square. So if I went into my handy dandy calculator and I type square root of 225 and hit enter, boom, it gives me 15. In the bottom, if I take the square root of 9, I'm going to get 3. Well, I know what 15 divided by 3 is. That gives me 5. Yes. But remember, you got to include that plus and minus. Okay, so you should have positive 5 and negative 5 as your final answer.